For the past few weeks now, I got the opportunity to test our new physical anomaly agent Alice to truly see how strong of a unit she is. She's a character that easily excels at the role she's been given and even offers a familiar gameplay style that I think a lot of you will end up enjoying. But instead of dedicating my testing to providing you guys a bunch of general information that I know a lot of other creators are going to be giving you, I decided to conduct my testing to answer a question that a lot of you guys have been asking since this character was revealed. That's right, in today's video we're going to be actually exploring the idea and seeing if Jane and Alice can work together in a team. These are two units that have been put against each other due to them sharing the same element and class, but I felt like it would be a lot more interesting to explore the idea of seeing if you could actually make a team comp that'll work for them. So I'll be going over some of the best team comps I've tested with these units, explaining how they're supposed to operate in a squad with one another, and provide my overall thoughts on their synergy or lack thereof after all my testing. To start, let me give you guys a brief breakdown on Alice. Alright, like I said before, Alice is a physical anomaly unit that specializes in dealing physical damage over time. This is due to her core passive, which activates whenever any squad member on her team inflicts a physical anomaly. Now this DOT deals additional damage every 0.95 seconds while the anomaly is active, and if a disorder is triggered, the disorder damage multiplier increases up to 180%. These two effects alone are the primary reasons why Alice is such a strong physical unit, because granting a character the ability to deal damage over time while increasing disorder damage offers unbelievable strength to both the unit and their team. Alice is also able to increase her physical anomaly build-up rate by 25% whenever she triggers an assault, granting her more opportunities to trigger her anomaly effect. She then uses a unique resource known as Blade Etiquette, which is used to grant her access to her hold basic attack, Starshine Waltz. When Alice has one bar of Blade Etiquette, her hold basic performs a series of slashes centered around the enemy, dealing massive physical damage. When she has 3 bars, this hold basic is then granted a finishing move that triggers a unique effect known as Polarized Assault, which deals damage equal to 100% of the original assault, ignoring anomaly buildup, and can interact with other attribute anomalies, including physical, to trigger disorder. This is what completes the strength of Alice, because Polarized Assault, paired with her physical damage over time, allows her to deal massive amounts of damage that no other physical unit can compare to. This is why for the most part the strength of her kit is centered around her hold basic attack, which funny enough reminds me a lot of our Frost Void Hunter. Just like miHoYo, Alice hold basic allows her to have a quick swap game plan due to how active the move is. What's crazy is that this game plan is potentially stronger with Alice due to her ability to still trigger assaults while she's off field, granting her amazing synergy in disorder comps. Honestly, when looking more into Alice, I realized that her and miHoYo actually share a lot more in common than I originally thought. Both of their core game plans are centered around building their unique resources, and they easily do this by using their EX special attacks, ultimates, and trigger anomaly effects. Alice just has a nice touch of being able to build Blade Etiquette by attacking enemies, triggering disorders with her team, and even by just entering the battlefield due to her additional ability. She even gains additional anomaly proficiency for every point of anomaly mastery that exceeds 140 when she has an anomaly or support unit on her team, making it really easy to build her resources to deal loads of damage during her rotations. So when it comes to Alice, you play her pretty similarly to how you would with miHoYo on any of her teams, granting you plenty of opportunities to squeeze in Jane to synergize with her just a bit. Speaking of which, let's talk about how Jane and her kit synergizes together. With Jane and Alice both being physical units, their synergy with one another is actually pretty simple. This is because both of their core passives are triggered whenever a physical anomaly is inflicted or assault is triggered on an enemy. This means while both units are just performing their basic rotations, they are easily able to activate each other's win condition without needing to perform any additional steps. We can say the same about their additional abilities as well, since they both meet the anomaly unit requirement to trigger their bonus effect, which is actually really good. If you guys are unfamiliar with Jane, her win condition is applying her non-state when she attacks enemies, so when assault is triggered, assault damage has a chance to crit with a base crit rate of 40% and crit damage of 50%. Each point of Jane's anomaly proficiency also increases the crit rate by 0.16%, and the flinch effect duration from assault is also increased by 5 seconds. Her additional ability increases her anomaly build-up rate by 15%, then an additional 50% when her target is suffering from an attribute anomaly. So with knowing how Jane and Alice kits work, it's easy to see that both units should be able to synergize with one another. But an important aspect that we all need to keep in mind when it comes to synergy is a character's rotation and their overall field time. Both Jane and Alice are heavy on field units. This means even though they share similar win conditions, they both require a lot of field time in order to take advantage of the buffs they provide for themselves, causing them to more often than not fight each other for said field time. In order to deal with this, we need to make sure we take advantage of every opportunity that each unit provides for the other to perform their rotations. This means taking advantage advantage of active frames, utilizing quick swap, recognizing when anomaly effects are triggered, and etc. This is the key to these two units performing well together, and honestly, there's only a few teams that allow them to do so. To make your lives easier, here are the best teams that I tested and that I believe are the best ones that allow Jane and Alice synergize really well together. Starting with Team 1, Alice, Yuzuha, Jane. This should be a no-brainer with why Yuzuha works so well in a team with these two units. She's our new support who offers buffs that increases the overall performance of Anomaly units. This is because she offers an attack increase equal to 40% of her attack, a 15% damage dealt buff, and she even provides up to a 20% increase to Anomaly build-up rate, attribute Anomaly damage, and disorder damage. All of these buffs directly increase the performance of both Alice and Jane on this team, allowing them to be devastating units on field. Yuzuha is also able to directly help units with their Anomaly build-up rate due to her flavor match effect, and because of this, you're actually able to invest more into attack percent for one of the Anomaly units on the team instead of Anomaly mastery. With how this team is structured, I decided to let Jane do this since Alice provides herself an Anomaly proficiency buff the higher her Anomaly mastery is. Now this team in action is fairly simple, as like I stated before, Alice is played very similar to Miyabi. Your goal with this unit is to utilize her kit to build blade etiquette so you can deal massive damage with her whole basic attack and trigger polarized assault. This is perfect for both Yuzuha and Jane since during Alice's whole basic attack, we're able to quick swap between these units to apply Yuzuha's buff and quick assistance to Jane to perform her rotations. Typically, I tend to stay on Jane until I trigger an assault to disorder with Alice's polarized assault while also giving her time to build energy and decibels while she's on field. This allows her to be fully loaded when coming back on the field, typically through a defensive assist, to repeat the process all over again. You can even utilize this Yuzuha a bit more by taking advantage of her hold parry during certain boss fights if you understand their patterns, but if not, you just really need to make sure you keep her buffs active with her EX special and ultimate. And that's really it about this team. Just focus on taking advantage of Alice's active frames, be sure to be building your resources, burn all your energy and ultimates when they become available, and after doing all that, this team should end up performing pretty well. Now when looking at my actual results in Deadly Assault with this team, I found myself consistently overperforming against any boss as long as they were physical weak or offer more buffs to anomaly effects and disorders. This allowed me to average somewhere around 40k points when fighting against bosses like Miasmic Fiend and Pompeii when using all signature W engines and pretty average builds. But even when equipping all free-to-play engines, I was still able to consistently clear with over 30k points, showing that the true strength of these units are mostly tied to their kits and player execution and not their limited engine. This good performance translates over to shield defense as well, with most of my clear times being less than a minute with signatures and a little bit over a minute without sigs. This is mostly due to this team's ability to clear mobs quickly while being able to rapidly apply assaults, resulting in enemies' health bars getting deleted even before stun windows are triggered at times. This is by far the best team with these two because Yuzuha synergizes with Anomaly units so well. It's a really good team that's worth building, and I really hope you guys end up trying it out because I enjoy it so much. If you don't have Yuzuha though, or you want to use her in a different team, don't worry because our girl Astra can easily fill that spot pretty well. Team 2, Alice, Astra, and Jane. I'm pretty sure this comes to no surprise for most of you, as Astra has been the premier support for most teams due to how easily she fits into a lot of comps. This is because Astra is all about providing amazing buffs off field while the other two units on her team does the rest. This works perfectly for a comp with two heavy on-field units like Alice and Jane, making it a much easier team to pilot in comparison to the Yuzuha team. Now with Astra in this comp, both Alice and Jane are now receiving an attack buff that's equal to 35% of Astra's initial attack, an 80% damage increase, and a 22% crit damage buff. These buffs are pretty similar to the ones Yuzuha provides, but they're general buffs, so they don't directly affect the performance of how anomaly effects work, but they're strong enough to provide a noticeable difference in performance. What's more important for this team in my opinion though is the easy access to quick assist. Like I mentioned before, both Alice and Jane are heavy on field units, so completely removing the need to have a third unit come on field allows these two to work a lot better together. It makes their rotation seamless and their ability to manage their resources a lot easier, which I believe is noticeable in the team's performance. Now of course it's not better than the Yuzuha team, but like most comparisons between Yuzuha and Astra and Anomaly comps, the differences aren't that drastic. When testing this team in Deadly Assault, I found myself averaging high 30ks to low 40ks when having signature weapons on. This was against enemies weak to physical like the Miasmic Fiend, as well as enemies that are affected by anomaly effects like the Dead End Butcher. Without signatures, I saw a very minimum decrease against the content. I think this was mostly because the engines offer buffs heavily focused around anomaly buildup and AP, which is primarily what Butcher is centered around for bonus points and damage, so the drop off made sense. Outside of that though, this team at bare minimum still overperforms 30k plus. And your defensive performance performs roughly the same as the Yuzuha team as well. This is due to the offensive power being so high with Jane and Alice that honestly either support will allow them to perform extremely well in content like this, which is really good to see. This is with and without signature engines too, so if you are thinking about running this team with Astra or even Yuzuha, you should have no issues at all getting fantastic results. Now this last team testing is with supportive units that brings the next best possible value that we can offer for these characters. They are the units that are normally paired with the likes of Jane, and they provide enough support to make them decent options if you don't have any of the ones that we talked about before. That's right, team 3 and 4 we're covering Alice, Jane, and Caesar, or Alice, Jane, and Seth. Both Caesar and Seth are here to provide decent buffs for both Alice and Jane while increasing their survivability. Now the buffs that they offer aren't as significant as units like Yuzuha and Astra, but they are solid enough that they allow Alice and Jane to still perform pretty well. Caesar applies a shield that increases her team's anti-interrupt level for the on-field unit while providing a 1000 attack buff when the shield is equipped. She also offers a 25% all damage taken debuff that further increases the DPS of her team, making her a solid supportive option. Seth provides a shield equal to 80% of his attack that increases anomaly proficiency by 100 while also being able to apply a 20% all attribute anomaly build-up res debuff to enemies when he lands his chain attack or finishing move with his whole basic. These buffs also directly increase the damage that Alice and Jane assault deal while increasing how fast they can apply their anomaly. Because of their buffs, both Seth and Caesar are good options for players as they are able to provide strong supportive capabilities like supports while offering the ability to contribute to stun. This does mean you have to bring them on field a bit more often to reapply their buffs and even build stun, but it's not often enough that it disrupts the entire synergy of the teams. When testing them against in-game content though, I found myself just being able to clear comfortably, but nowhere near the performance of the previous teams we mentioned before. On average, the scores with both of these units sat around mid to high 20Ks in deadly assault, with Caesar being able to grace 30K at times with signatures equipped. Without them though, these teams were able to just do enough for players to get by, truly showing the rough sides of this shell when you don't have premium supports, but this team is definitely still usable. For Shield Defense, I was clearing just under 2 minutes, still leaving a lot of time for players to make mistakes and receive max rewards. I think overall that's the goal you want to aim with this team, as it's designed to be just enough unless you heavily invest into mid-maxing their builds. This doesn't mean that it's a bad team, because it's not at all. It just doesn't completely supply what the anomaly characters are looking for when it comes to firepower, which is mostly due to the buffs that the units provide. All in all though, those are the best teams that I tested with Alice and Jane. Honestly, this duo surprised me a lot, as I wasn't expecting them to perform anywhere near as good as they actually did. I think this is mostly due to Alice's whole basic carrying the team so much. The fact that her whole basic is so active and allows us to switch into our characters like our supports and Jane to perform their full rotations and get off their own anomaly effects makes having a whole basic this strong so effective, especially since Alice is still able to perform her polarized assault while she's on field. I think if this move lacked the ability to actually trigger her polarized assault while she's off field and being able to disorder with physical, this team will be nowhere near as strong as it currently is right now, so Alice truly does make this team work all together. Funny enough, because of this and after doing all of this testing, this is probably one of my favorite anomaly teams to play because it's just so fun. It's nowhere near the strength of Alice's best teams and even Jane's best teams, but it's competent enough that I truly want to run these units together when I can, and I even recommend some of you guys to give it a try if you want to. The only thing I would say you need to know when playing these two units together is be prepared to run into internal cooldowns for anomalies quite often. If you're unfamiliar with this, essentially games have a built-in cooldown that prevents anomaly effects from being triggered if enough time hasn't gone by. So in some cases, you'll end up seeing that you have full physical anomaly built, but assault just won't trigger. That's because the internal cooldown hasn't finished yet, which sucks, but it makes sense because if that cooldown didn't exist, this team will honestly be destroying through every form of content with ease. Anyways though, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Join the Discord in the description below if you haven't yet, and always remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.